how do we know this? The Torah mentions the word Aki, brother, many times. It mentions brother throughout the Torah, and the only time it uses it, it's referring to descendants of Israel, of Jacob, Yaqub alayhi salam. So whenever it uses that term, it's talking to the descendants of Yaqub. There is one exception to the rule. There's one time it actually uses it to talk about a descendant from Abraham alayhi salam. And when it does that, it says the name Edom, and then it says your brother Edom, or descendant of Esau, I think it's in English. So it actually has to stipulate who it comes from. So whenever it uses the term brother, it can't be talking about people that descend from Ishmael. It can't be talking about people that descend.
But it's not said that.
It does. It says.
No, but it says
your brethren.
That's the point. This is what I'm saying. This is the crucial point. My point, I'm saying that in the whole of Deuteronomy, if you look in the beginning, because it's a discourse from Moses to his people. He's speaking in the second person. This is the only place in Deuteronomy that I know where he stops saying, speaking in the second person, and then he uses the pronoun lechem. Now lechem, as far as I know, is referring to for them. Okay, now them is talking now about a different category of people, not those who Moses was initially speaking to. So that's why.
It's
can you
talking
explain
in the
that?
future. No, when it uses the term,
it's not them,
it's talking
them.
No, he's talking about. You're saying it will raise a prophet from.
Do you know the difference between second and third person?
Yes.
What's the difference?
So third person is when I'm speaking about myself. So first person is when I'm speaking. Actually, I'm getting lost in myself. Third person.
What's first person?
First person is talking about myself. Yes. Third person is talking about myself. As if I'm myself. No. So Joseph.
No.
Okay.
Can I tell
I'm
you?
getting lost.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's the problem. First person, I'm speaking about myself. Second person, I'm speaking to you. Yeah. I'm using your name or saying you. Third person, I'm saying he, she, they. Okay. My argument is as follows, because it's important that I tell you what these things are. People know what first, second, and third person are. In Deuteronomy, Moses speaks in the second person. So in other words, I'm speaking to you. Moses is speaking to his people, Bani Israel. He's speaking to them like this. Okay. Deuteronomy 18:18 comes along, and then he starts speaking about another kind of people and starts mentioning them in the third person. My question is, this is my question, not about the brethren or the prophet. Why now, of all places, does he start saying you're from them? So in other words, from Nachem. Why is it now in the third person? It was in the second person before? That's my question. Have you got an answer for that?
Just pulling up the Hebrew.
Yes, please. I'm going to finish with him, inshallah. He wants to deal with that one. He's a Hebrew speaker, which is brilliant, because usually we have people that are Christian. I deal with these verses, but they are not in touch. Yeah, he speaks Hebrew. He's a Jew. He's ethnic Jew. So he knows what he's doing. He's going to bring out the verses. Now he's going to tell us that, the translation. He's going to read it in his beautiful voice, and then he's going to tell us why is it? Yes, he's going to tell us in his beautiful way, why is it now the third person of all places, and why is it not the second person? That's what he's going to do, because if he doesn't do that, then he's going to leave a question mark in all those Jewish people's mind that are watching this video, and then those people are going to think, why is it the case? Why is it the case that you have used it? Who is this prophet? Who is this prophet from the people's brethren? Here, that's the question. But that's the first point. Can I make, whilst you're doing that, I'll make a second point quickly, yeah? Because this is, okay, you say, look man, this is not talking, let's talk about Messiah. Christian might be thinking, this is talking about someone else. Fine. I'm saying something else now. If you look at the book of Isaiah, chapter number 29, verse number 12, it says in the book of Isaiah that, and the book will be delivered to the one who is illiterate, and it will be said to him, read, and he'll say, I'm not of the literate, or I cannot read. Now, this is exactly the story you find in the Islamic tradition. The angel Gabriel, we believe as Muslims, the angel Gabriel came to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam fi Ghar Hira, in Ghar Hira, in the cave, and it grabbed him and it said, Iqra. He said, read. And he said, Ma ana biqari'in. I cannot read, because he was illiterate. Thus, the book that was delivered, it was delivered to the illiterate man, and it was said to him, read, and he said, I cannot read. He might be saying, no, this is not good enough, man. It might be talking about anybody. Okay, fine. We'll keep reading now. Isaiah book, chapter number 44, I think is it talking about. And if you look particularly, it's talking, the whole chapter is talking about someone who's going to come in the future. And if you look in verse 11 in particular, it gives us some hints. It gives us some hints and some clues as who this individual is going to be. It says he's going to be from Salah. Where is Salah? Salah, I want to know. No, forget about forget about me. Yeah. Let's look at the book of Psalms, because it will tell us where Salah is, because it's mentioned in the book of Psalms. Chapter number 84, verse number 4. The word Salah is mentioned. Do you know what's mentioned? Verse number 6, 2 verses later? Bakka. Wait a minute, Bakka? What's Bakka? The Quran tells us what Bakka is. Chapter number 33, verse number 96. Bakka. What is Bakka? Bakka is Mecca. How do we know that? Can you prove that? Because in the book of Psalms itself, it's talking about what? It's talking about pilgrimage. It's talking about pilgrimage. The question is now, where is the place where you have pilgrims going, which is called Mecca, which has Arabs there? Because in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 44, verse number 11, it says the people of Kedar. Kedar are the Arabs, and even according to their exegetes, who is the prophet that came that Moses was talking about in Deuteronomy 18:18, and how could all of these conditions apply to? That's my question. No, you say no, it's no one. Okay, fine. Let's look at the book of Song of Solomon, chapter number 5, verse number 16. What does it say in the book of Solomon, chapter number 5? Verse number 16, it talks about his love story. You might be thinking, well, what's his love story, man? It's nothing to do with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then it says in verse 16, the one who's altogether fair and lovely, or Muhammadin, yeah?
Change it to lovely.
No problem. Muhammadin, it says mentioned Muhammadim, yeah? Okay, who is this Muhammadim? He's not, the story is talking about, no, don't tell me it's Muhammad because it's a love story. How could it be Muhammad? I'm saying it's a love story. If you look at the context, it's a love story. So you can say to yourself, it's a love story, man. It's got nothing to do with prophets in the future. But if you look closely, the exegetes of the Bible and of the Torah, rabbis, and I'll give you names when I come back from prayer, the rabbis say actually this is not a story of a love story, but it's a parable. And it's talking about a man coming in the future, and his name is mentioned in the Hebrew.
I'm not going to be able to respond to any of those, so you're going to have to go back to them in a minute.
Okay, I'm going to pray and come back, and then we can continue.
I'm going to have to go in a minute. So I just want to point out, literally, this is what you're saying. I will set up a prophet for them from among their brothers, like you, and I will put my words into his mouth, and he will speak to them all that I command him. Yes. So your emphasis on the word them, yeah? Yes. You're saying, why is he talking about them?
Yes.
And it's very easy. When he says, I will set up, he's clearly talking about an event in the future.
Why
yeah?
them? Why not you?
No, because he's talking about an event in the future.
No, but why them? It's not you.
That's the whole Bible's like that. It says
no. Deuteronomy was saying you. Deuteronomy was saying you the whole time. This is the first time, verse 18 of chapter 18.
No,
it says
because it's talking about a prophecy in the future. It's talking about a prophecy that's going to happen. So when
okay, fine,
it's talking about you, it's talking about Moses, and it's talking about them, it's talking about Jewish people.
It's ridiculous. No. It says you because Moses was from the children of Israel. He was directly addressing the children of Israel.
He made a lot of I just want to respond. So it uses the word achehem. Whenever it uses the word achehem, my brother, it's categorically speaking about Israel. So what we get a statement where it says, I will set up a prophet for you. I will set up a prophet for them from among their brothers like you. So when it says like you, it's talking about like Moses, which we agree on. When it says talking about them, it's because it starts the thing, I will set up. So if you're talking about something in the future, so if I was to say I will set up, so if I'm talking to you, yeah, and I'm going to say I'm going to set up for your descendants.
I see your point. Yes.
You're talking about them in the point. No. But let me finish.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the main point here is when we contextualize it, we have the word brother. Whenever the Torah uses the word brother, it exclusively means Israel. As I said before, there is one exception to this when it talks about one of Esau's. It talks about the descendants of Esau, and it says your brother Esau. It's the only time in the entire Torah, because if it didn't qualify it as Esau, if it didn't qualify it, it's Ismail. If it didn't qualify it, then brother only means Jews. So we get the future tense from the word them. It's talking about the future. It says I will set up, and then brother is Jews.
There's an issue with that. Yeah, there is a serious issue with that. If you look at the biblical style and the Torahic style, yeah, especially in Deuteronomy, which is a conversation of Moses he is meant to, Deuteronomy is meant to be written by Moses himself, yeah? Deuteronomy, the whole of the conversation was speaking in the second person. Whenever, or the norm in the Torah is that when Moses speaks about the children of Israel, whether it be past, present or future, he always refers to them in the second person. Now, my question was simple. Why is it in this particular verse, verse 18, did he say them speaking in the third person? That's my question. Now he said it's the future, but I'm saying, I've just said to him now, I'm saying to everyone here today, that actually if you look at the Torahic style and what the Torah says, when Moses speaks, whenever he speaks, past, present or future, Moses, when he refers to something that will happen to the children of Israel, has happened or is happening presently, he always refers in the second person. Why is it so hard to
give an example?